Okay, I want to welcome everybody to the March Education Night. It's March the 27th, 2025. And I don't see any guests or any new folks here tonight, so we'll go ahead and just go right into the announcements. The assignments coming up, as we were mentioning, we were talking a few minutes ago, and the one for April is smoke. Be creative. If you go in and read the assignment list on the website, and Jim's got some pretty good notes on there for you. We want you to be as creative as possible. This is going to be like whatever, but be creative. Make it something cool. The May assignment is leading lines. So again, that's something lines leading to a subject. June's is the silhouette. So make sure, a silhouette is a dark, a dark shape against, with heavy backlighting. And because there's a lot of people that call things silhouettes that aren't silhouettes, because you could see definition in the, in the subject. And July is still life with light. So, in terms of the next few months for our education nights, April will be Tony Baldessaro, who is a wonderful bird photographer. He's going to be talking about post-processing birds, but what he's going to be talking about will apply to anybody. So don't be turned off by the fact that it's birds. But he has some beautiful bird pictures, so you'll at least enjoy those anyway. May is Still Life with Lights with Caroline Jensen, who is used to be a food photographer, and now she does primarily still lifes with she's a flower farmer up in Minnesota, I think it is. And she's going to be talking about, she has this very small little space in her house that she does this in. So I thought it would be a really interesting talk to have about, what you can do in a small space and with still life, since it's something that we've got coming up later in the year. And then in June, it's head portraits, toned black and white. Robert's going to be doing this one, and this again is a assignment for later in the year. It's September, I believe. So that's the education nights coming up. Any questions about any of that? Outings. We had our photo camp last weekend. We had a beautiful weekend. Finally, I don't want to jinx it because the last 3 years have been like Rain City, or actually more than 3 years. So we moved it a little further into March, and I think it paid off. It was very cold the Friday night, but it was doable. Saturday was beautiful, and we had a really good time over at Homosassa Springs, seeing all the animals over there. They have still a bunch of manatees there and lots of fish. You can see behind me, that's the fish in the big clear pool in Homosassa Springs. And we had some great food as always for our lunch. Leslie went all out and brought some different stuff for lunch, and then we always have great food for our potluck dinner. We actually did get to do some night photography because it was pretty clear, and I spent a lot of nice time around the campfire telling stories and just having fun with with chemicals to make the flames colorful, and we had all kinds of good times. So if you've never done photo camp, be thinking about doing it next year. We're working on next year. We have to work this thing almost a year in advance because the limited ability to get camping spots at places. So I'm not going to say where we're thinking about or trying to get, but we'll let you know once we have a date and a place. Trying to get a little.
We had a good talk from Robert on confidence in photography.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was really pretty good.
Yeah, we had a good discussion on Saturday after lunch. Robert always leads a good discussion and gets everybody involved. So we had a really good discussion on Friday as well, or Saturday. Our next outing is next Thursday evening. It's our Tampa Trolley Hop. We will send out an email about that, I think on Monday or Tuesday of this week. And basically what we do is we meet at the trolley stop station number 4 in Ybor City. There's a HEC parking garage right on the same block. And we meet there and we take the trolley and we get off and we get back, we spend some time in a certain different area. Then we, get back on the trolley and go on to the next stop and we get off and get on. So it's basically getting off and on the trolley and, making pictures wherever we see them. There's a lot of interesting architecture down there, mostly modern stuff, but you can still do some cool abstracts. And there's nightlife, there's there's street photography. Thursday night's usually not super busy, but there's still people down there. I would limit. It's hard to get around with a tripod, especially in the trolley. So I would recommend not bringing a tripod, maybe bringing either a platypod or something small that you can use as a tripod. Or is it a monster? What is those things called, Jim, with the little balls? That thing?
A gorilla pod.
A gorilla pod. I want to call it a monster pod. I knew that was right. A gorilla pod. A platypod, which is a flat. It's very flat, but you can put a ball head on it. Or a monopod would probably be okay because you could actually shorten that pretty quickly and not have it banging around and bashing into people.
I had a Japanese woman when I was on a shoot one time, saw it on my belt and said, "Oh, you have a Godzilla pod."
Close. Probably closer than where I was with Monster Pod. But anyway, so we'll spend a couple of hours. We may, if we find something interesting along the way, a place to eat or something, we may do that, or we may end up back in Ybor City and eat at New York Pizza or something like that in Ybor City. We'll play it by ear, depending on who comes and if they're hungry or not. So that's kind of the plan for next Thursday night. Jim, do you have any announcements?
No current announcements. If you have 10 seconds at some point before we start, though, I found the 2 shots from the fireman calendar using the smoke, if people want to see them for examples.
Okay, just before Robert, do you have anything to add?
No, I'm good tonight.
Okay, anybody else have any other comments or questions?
I just had a comment on.
I have one other thing I wanted to do before we do our program tonight, but Jim, go ahead.
Oh.
No, Edward had something to say. Oh, Richard, I'm sorry. Richard had something to say.
Yeah, go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, I was just, I'm not going to do this, but I experimented with using generative AI to create the smoke shot. And I picture of a guy with an ear and I wanted smoke to come out of his ear and it almost worked perfectly.
Hey.
There you go.
Oh, I remember this guy.
This was the one you were talking about, Lynn, in the building with the red gelled lights in the smoke, and then there's the one by the overturned oil tanker that they wouldn't let us set on fire with some blue gels pushing through the smoke.
You guys saw? I think they saw the one with the guy out on the ladder last, but that one doesn't have.
Yeah, there was no smoke in that one though. Yeah, there was no smoke on the ladder. So.
That's done with real smoke machine, fog machines. Those are fog machines. So no natural fog, just created fog, I guess is okay, right? Created smoke. No. There's something I wanted to read you. I get a newsletter from, some of you may be familiar with Kirby's Nursery in Sefner. It's a family-owned nursery that's been around for many, it's a plant nursery, and they've been around for many, many years. And I go over there periodically, especially during specific seasons like spring and autumn and stuff like that, and Christmas, to photograph their flowers. And they're very receptive to that. They want to know how did I get any good pictures? And I almost always buy plants before I leave, just because I feel obligated, since I'm taking pictures of their flowers. So every week, Joey Bacor, who is the husband of one of the Kirby girls, and he's part owner of the place, sends out a newsletter, and everything, it's always kind of interesting. There's stuff about their kids, about them. It all leads to, obviously, to gardening. But this one this week I thought was really interesting, and I wanted to read it to you because it applies to a lot of things, and to my mind, especially it applies to photography. So I'm going to read this real quick. Hopefully I can see it well enough to read it. Let me take this out. It's on my phone. It seems everyone today talks about triggers. Things that make you anxious, things that make you tense up and stress out. But the other day I read something that said that the opposite of a trigger is a glimmer. Triggers are signs of danger, pain, or something that needs work and attention, designed to activate your nervous system to deal with threats. Glimmers, on the other hand, are like your nervous system giving you a high five. reminders that everything is going okay and systems are running smoothly, that you are safe. I think sometimes we get so focused on the stress, the bad things, and the things that could go wrong that we forget to see little glimmers throughout the day. These moments when our dog greets us with a wagging tail and wants to snuggle up after not seeing us all day. The hug from your kids when you head off to work. A smile when you get a funny text from a friend. A squeeze of the hand from your significant other. Little things like this are often sprinkled throughout our days. We just have to open our eyes to see them. And I'll bet if you start focusing on glimmers, you'll see more and more of them. The same way that stars in the sky just keep appearing the more that we stare up. Let these glimmers head your life or lead your life. Sure, there will be triggers. Life is not stress-free, but my hope for you is that the glimmers are what you make the center of your life. Then he goes on to equate that to gardening, but I want to equate it to what we do. I hope, because this is how I feel. When I'm out there shooting, I get glimmers until I'm glimmered to death. And I want you guys to feel the same way that I do. And I even get glimmers when I finish an image, just like we're going to be doing tonight, because it's like, oh my God, I created this. I made the image. I had a picture in my mind. I took it to the computer and I did all this work on this, and look what I've created. I still go back at stuff that I created even years ago and say, I cannot believe I actually did that. And that to me is a glimmer. It's basically it releases endorphins, which are good things. Triggers let out, I think, cortisol, which is a bad thing. We get endorphins when we get glimmers. So try and try and try to see those glimmers out there. Enjoy photography because it's such a joyful thing to do. That's all I'm going to say about it. Any comments? No? Okay.
That was very joyful.
It was very nice.
Yeah. It's just, Joey is like that. I'm such a positive person. And when I read that, I'm like, oh my God, that is so freaking, it reminds me of Colleen Minnick. So sounds like her. But anyway, I think I might even send that to her because she might like it. But anyway, other than that, I don't have anything else tonight. So let's go ahead and get started. I don't know. Jim and Robert, I did send you the images. Do you want me to try doing it on my end and see how we go? I'm getting better as time goes by. My eyes are starting to focus a little better. Or would you guys rather run it from your end?
It doesn't matter to me. I can run it.
Why don't you go ahead and can you pull them in from Dropbox to your Lightroom?
Yeah, I already have them.
Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and let Robert do the sharing. That way I won't screw up things with my wobbly eye here.
Okay. All right. Gosh, I'm trying to remember how we did this. Okay, let me go ahead and.
Okay, they're all in folders by person.
Yeah, I know that part. I'm just trying to figure out how we actually did this.
We brought up the two images. We voted on which one we were gonna work on, and we discarded the other picture. And then
okay, I remember now. Okay, gotcha. All right. You can see my screen, I hope.
Yes.
Yep.
We can see all the images.
All right, so you should be able to.
Robert, let's try to use our newer people's images first.
Okay.
May not be able to get to all of them, and that way they have the experience. They get to experience some of this that they may not have ever seen before.
All right, give me a name to go with.
You can use. Let's do Andrew's first.
Andrew Hunter. Okay. All right. Great. Let me move a couple things out of the way on my screen so we can actually do something.
And guys, while we're doing this, we want everybody to contribute. This is not me and Robert and Jim. This is everybody. We used to do this Genesis in person at Robert's studio, and then we did it for a while on Jim's photo potluck. And what you do is everybody gets to make comments about first we decide which one we want to work on, and then everybody contributes to what we're going to do to it.
Okay, well, let me start. I say pick the left one, white one.
Okay, so
Uh,
who likes which one here?
One on the left.
I like the one on the
Wait.
left too. Come on, speak
And-
up, people.
The left.
On the left.
The left.
Sounds
Okay.
like the left is the one.
All right, what's wrong with the one on the right?
The statement's out of the picture.
Yeah.
All right, so I mean that's important to at least determine why we didn't,
Yeah.
why the picture is not working. So
Yeah.
we look at the one on this particular image. This whole piece is leaving the frame. We agree?
Yeah,
Yep.
I
All
agree.
Yep.
And because it's leaving the frame and we have all these other items up here that are not contributing to the photograph, this is why this image is of less impact than the image that we're going to work through.
Let's back on that purple one. You see those two little stamens you do see are like little feet. You're gonna make it like something's eating it.
Well,
They
this
shoot.
this one piece is a snake.
No.
I want to point that one little piece out, the snake there. But going back to our other image, here we have this
Yeah.
particular image right
Yeah.
here.
Andrew, make sure you join in as well, please.
No, well,
Hey, I
Andrew,
don't know what I'm doing, so I think that's what. Yes, sir.
Andrew, is very important. It's very, very, very important that you state what your intentions were when you made this photograph.
Okay, so my intentions were as much detail and in focus as I could get in a 1-to-1 or greater picture for magnification.
Okay, so it's purely technical.
That's all it is. Yep.
Okay. All right, I understand. So in this particular image, let's go ahead and tackle this one. Let's go ahead and tap the tab key. Well, one of the first things going to happen with this, oh, sure, Tails.
Yeah.
One of the first things going to happen to this is we're going to need to bring the values up. You got it. This is a TIFF file, right?
What's the f-stop on this one?
F10.
And to further, it's several photos stacked together. So each with a different depth of field, shot through the image, so to speak. So the camera moves through the image, takes a picture, right? At a magnification level, moves a little bit more. That could be a couple, however far, and then repeats that process until you get the whole thing in the shot.
It's called focus stacking. Yes.
Focus stacking.
And
Yes.
then merge it.
Yes, that's correct.
My major question is, did you hand hold this?
No, the other one, the purple one, yes. This one, no. This
Okay.
was on a rail. This one here.
Okay, all right. I was looking at your shutter speed. That's the reason why I asked.
What is the shutter speed on this one? So where do you see that, right? So I'm that new to.
See where his
Okay.
cursor is, Andrew, up in the top right corner.
Okay,
The
I can kind
histogram?
of see that. Does that say? What does that say? Could you read that?
This is 1/80.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, 1/80.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's just do a baseline on this, and for the sake of speed, I'm gonna go with an auto here and then an auto white balance on that, just to get us started. Okay. Now, anything else we want to add to this? See, we got.
I think it'd be nice to have a little more light from underneath,
Yeah, there's lots of spots.
and
And with
spots.
flowers, it is imperative that you get rid of all the spots. Because
Okay.
they bring.
So-
Did you see that with your eye?
those spots.
No, I saw it actually with my thumbnail.
Yeah.
There's
No, I mean,
I see what you're saying. Okay.
no, what I'm saying, Andy, that was a bad joke. Yes, I saw it with my eyes.
Okay. Well, I thought.
Yeah,
okay.
there's also
Fantastic.
a lot of spots, dirt spots on the flower, and a white flower like this, they show
Yes.
up big time. So
Yes, I did notice that afterwards.
yeah,
Absolutely.
but that's the whole thing about taking it from beginning to end. We want to show everybody what you need to do to get through the whole thing. There's a lot of them on here, so
So
Yeah.
how would you, I mean, so you don't want to touch the flower, right? So what would you do? Just pick a different flower? Or would you take it
Well,
out in
you
post?
can pick a different flower, and occasionally you'll find one that's cleaner, but I spend majority of my time working on flower pictures doing cleanup with, in post-processing.
Just yep, spot removal tool.
Spot removal tool, you can use the one here and the one here in Lightroom is much better than it used to be. The one in Photoshop is maybe a little bit faster, and I have a tablet with a pen, which makes it really easy. So you
Would dust removal help any of that?
maybe because it'll make you see some of those, but Jim or Robert, can you click on the spot shower so that you can see? I don't see it there. Or you'd have to click on the
Click on the what?
where it shows you all the dust spots when you
Oh,
go to
okay.
Oh, the visualization.
yeah,
Yeah.
visualization. I'm trying to figure
Ah,
click
not-
on that.
That's going to be generally with your let's see, visualize spots.
Where it is. It's not coming up in the new play. They've changed things.
Oh no, it's
Oh.
right here.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's there at the bottom.
Okay, so it shows some of them, but you not all. Well, there is. Yeah, you can see where they are now, but
You can adjust that slider too to
Right.
adjust your view on that.
yeah, just the slider, and the more white you show, the more apt you are to see the dust spots, especially out around the darker portions of the photo.
And you can work while it's in this display too to
Yeah.
hit the spots.
Yeah.
Well, I was about to say, even in the left, right? So in the bottom left of it, kind of like you can see a break. I think it's right about, well, to your right, actually, the line of the flower itself, the outline.
Yeah, that's
like this
showing
break.
red.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting though, because those were more out of focus to me, to my unprofessional, untrained eye. But I can see it much better now.
Yeah.
That these were missed focus or opportunity or whatever it could have been. I think that's what that's saying to me.
Yep.
All right, so we've gotten that particular portion of it. Now, a couple things about this particular image that's quite important. We have this big white blob right here of an image, a part of your image, but excuse me, I'm not so sure that that's going to be our hero in this image. And I'm referring to this piece down here. Can we see that?
Yeah.
All right. So it is of my opinion that this play a role in this shot. Otherwise, we just have this big white bulb. So the thought might be that in this bulb, let's just say hypothetically, if I was just to bring that up and taking a look at what that does is adding now to the look of the photograph. It's giving us somewhere to go. Your thoughts?
Yeah, the stamen always needs this. Most photographers agree. If it's flower photographers want the stamen or the center parts of the flower to be in focus, if nothing else. Actually, I mean, you could go for the edge petals and stuff like that for effect, but that stamen is very, very important. And yes, that needs to be as bold as you can get it.
All right.
So what did you do there? You highlight or you up the green in that specific area? Okay.
Yes. And I'm going to add just a little bit of green to it.
And Andrew, he's using a mask, which is a relatively new thing. It's only probably about 2 years old in Lightroom. And that's that little gray circle up in the right-hand corner. You need to be more explicit with this, Robert, because he's not familiar with this stuff.
So I own the program. I've used it, so I'm just
Okay, all right,
where I'm
okay.
coming
Just want to
from.
make sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not very much though.
All right. So
I think Deborah has a question.
yeah, go
I think
ahead.
Deborah has a question.
Deborah, go ahead. Unmute yourself.
I guess I'm just wondering why you didn't mask the flower and sort of, it seems like we're kind of jumping around and.
Mask the flower and do what with the flower? Well, here it's not a science. Once you get to the base, once you get to your base, mean bringing up your exposure, highlight, shadows, and such, then it becomes a matter of what do you identify as important. for the photograph. Now, I did not mask this, if I may please. I did not mask the big white portion of it because I asked about the this piece down here. I asked about it, and by asking about it, I just brought some importance to it. There is no specific order. And you would, and so by uh, you asking the question, tell me what your thoughts are about the approach.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, if we're doing sort of start to finish, it just seems to me sort of from the big to the detail. So, kind of, like, work on the main subject, the background, and then come down to the minutia, like the stamen. But it just seems like we're jumping around a lot. Just
Well,
kinda
first of all, the main subject is not defined by the fact that it's the largest area. All right, that's why I asked Andy what was important, and once he said it was just about the focus part,
All
then
it is.
yeah, then because it's about the focus part, then we can jump around. All right, because what would you like to be done to the big white area?
You're asking me specifically?
Yeah,
I mean,
Deborah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just trying to think of like workflow, and it just seems like, cropping would be a good place to start, like when you're asking what is the focus and the subject, and then, I don't know, I always do the background from the subject differently. So the auto thing to the background to me just completely screwed up the background. So it seems like you have to back that off, so it seems like we're sort of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. I'm just a little confused, I guess.
All right, now I will agree with you when you say you might be a little confused, but when you say 2 steps forward and 1 step backwards, I'm gonna actually throw out this fact that everyone's workflow will be different. Everyone's workflow, and this is not about workflow. This is about creating an image. And for instance, if you say to me that the big white piece needs to be brightened up, then we'll go there and brighten it up. If you say that, if someone else says, "Hey, look, I want the background to be darker," then we'll go and do that. But there is no specific workflow. That's what I'm trying to put forth, because that's an individual thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay. I just thought it was sort of like a start to finish as opposed to, okay, never mind.
I understand what you're saying. When you heard start to finish, you were thinking workflow order, not that, and Robert's just, okay, we're going to start with something and end with something.
Deborah, it's the surgeon in you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I understand. I understand the logic you applied to that.
Yeah. So my logic is it's always going to be, and I mean always going to be, from the perspective of what is it that the artist, you, the creator, Deborah, what is it that was most important to you to start? And the cropping on my end usually happens last. And so that's just me. But when you tell me that the background is very important to the shot, then that's where we go. But if someone else tells me that the stamen or the leaf or the bulb is most important, then that's where we go. So
And you got a team here telling you different things.
yeah, that's exactly right. And that's the way it works. The team tells you.
Lots of cooks.
So
Well, this is the whole point, guys. We're getting a lot of different points of view, and this is the benefit of this kind of post processing, because it makes you understand how many different directions you can go and make an image good. There's no one way. So
now
the whole original premise when Robert started the Genesis was this is going to be a democratic process. Everybody pipe up and give suggestions on what might help this image, and it is kind of a random all over the place workflow. And when that happens,
and so you learn different kinds of ways of approaching something. Rather than one specific way of doing things, so it's a way of learning how to see and think outside of what you're normally used to doing.
Okay.
Yeah, what would somebody else do?
And now he's using the radial gradient from the mask tool. So you know what he's doing here.
And
So
then that's
applying-
highlighting that area, correct?
Yeah.
That's-
Yes. So by highlighting that area, that's just. I know we have a lot of photographs to go to, but the first one is always going to be the hardest one. It's like doing surgery on Monday morning. Come on, I have to get my coffee. After that, everything goes smoothly. So I've highlighted this part in here in order to bring attention to the flatness that this circle was giving us. We need to, not we need to. I'd like to see that this light actually takes us down to where it is now.
I
So-
see that now. Yeah, that's right. I see that now when
Yeah.
you put that on there, that highlight. I do see
See
that.
that? So
But if the attention's on the stamen, didn't you just pull us away from the stamen?
But I
Now-
think, like, to me, it points it more toward. It leads my eye because it's over a line, kinda. I think there's like a bridge there, one of the ribs.
Yeah.
That he's kind of put the middle of the highlight on, and it drags it. It'd be better maybe if the rib was directly leading like parallel to that stamen, but it's pretty close now to me. To take my eye there with that highlight.
now let's just do one other thing to that same thing, just as a thought process. I'll duplicate it and invert the mask. And with that duplicated inverted mask, I don't know why it's not showing. It should show.
So showing the rings.
Yeah, I'm not seeing the outer ring, but what I'm gonna do is actually bring the exposure down a little bit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you see now how it's all working together.
What to me,
show the
what to
before
me
again.
what to me feels is competing with that flower is that bright spot to the left of the flower. I would bring the highlights down on that.
The bright spots to the left of the flower.
Yep,
Your other left.
your other, yeah. I mean,
This
to
part
me,
over
that's,
here.
Flower.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
to me, that's taking away from the
Right.
object that is important.
Now I am looking for the other pin and I don't see it. Oh well. All right.
The other pin
Oh.
is
Yeah,
down
they're
on
right
the
next to each
stamen.
other. They're right next to
Oh,
each
that's what it is. Okay, I got
It's a
it.
duplicate, so they're right on top of each other.
All right. Okay. So now in this particular process, I brought the exposure down to darken this portion to highlight that other portion there.
I still
So-
think you need to take down the left side.
This
Make-
side
yep,
over here,
Yep,
pretty dark.
not,
Already.
not on my screen.
Well, I'm saying right on my screen, it's fairly dark, but
It's bright right at the top, Robert. Yeah,
not here.
now it's good for me.
Yeah,
here,
so
here.
it's very dark.
Yeah, that's way too dark, I think.
Well,
Yeah.
I know, but I mean, at least it's not competing with it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I calibrated my screen today, so.
I understand the calibration. I'm just saying my screen may not be calibrated to your screen, which may
Okay.
not be calibrated to the next screen.
You
But that
said to
point that-
offer opinions.
Yeah. Now, generally, when we did this in the studio, we were looking at it all the same.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but anyway, that's giving us an idea of what this image can do. So we've transformed this image from,
Yeah.
and if I tap the letter F and I say enjoy, then exactly what I mean is enjoy.
Awesome.
And for what it's worth, Deborah, if this weren't a democratic process and the image was just given to me to work on, the only thing I would have done the same as Robert would have been cleaning the spots. You would have seen an entirely different approach and an entirely different image at the end. It's just that subjective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is just one way, but we can't spend an hour and a half on one image, unfortunately. So
And by the way, Lynn,
yeah.
I didn't have permission to access the Dropbox. I requested permission.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Now I'll go to the other person. Who's the other person?
Next one would be, let's do Tiffany. She's down at the bottom there, way at the bottom.
Tiffany Williams.
Tiffany's here.
Yes, that's me.
I know a different Tiffany that photographs swimming. I taught her.
Nope, that's me. Nope, that's me, Robert.
Oh wow. Okay, I was gonna say.
Small world.
Let's see. What am I doing here?
All right.
Oh.
Okay. All right. So let's tap the letter F and let's talk. What do we
Were there
have?
2 pictures? Were there 2 pictures?
Oh, wait a minute. G.
Yeah, there's 2.
Oh, okay. All right.
Let's have
I'm
the vote,
sorry.
man.
Letter N. Tab.
Come on, computer.
Left one.
Jim, I just approved your request.
Okay, then, thanks. In case I need to get in there for anything.
The left one.
Yeah, okay, I think the
With
left
you.
one.
I actually have a suggestion of Robert, of if possible,
Yeah.
a hybrid. We need the head from the right one pasted in the shot on the left side.
You mean if I'm
That yes, that face needs to go in the other image.
Because there's no faces.
All right, so you want this face right here on top of this one?
Yeah, the left image is the image to work with, but the face in the right image is. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
Head swap.
Gonna get complicated.
Okay. All right. I understand what you're saying.
A head swap.
A head
right.
swap. Woohoo!
Okay, if that's the case, then I'm going to tap the letter G, and I'm going to process these 2 together, and then that's going to be tab, develop. All right, I go into the develop module. I have both of them selected. I am going to auto sync both of these, and in both of these, let me actually use this as the main image. Bring down the highlights on this, because that person right here is really, really bright. Oh, bring down the highlights. Set up the whites. Let's see what we do with the blacks. And the exposure. All right, bring that down a little bit. Okay, so I have both of them processed. I'll actually go to top menu item photo, edit and open as layers in Photoshop.
Robert, because you hit the sync button, whatever you did to the left shot went to the right?
Yes, auto sync, correct. Instead of sync would have done the same thing. It just that means that I would have had to go up and tell it what to sync.
Okay. Auto sync just does it automatically.
Yeah.
Is that on every? I've never
Yeah.
seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's there. It just lets it happen in real time as you do it to one. It happens to the other.
Now I'm not sure why Photoshop is not opening. That's interesting. Okay, let me actually do this. See it again. I see some. Oh, there it goes.
Just taking its time.
Yes.
Deal with Zoom.
Yeah, I don't have the super fast machine that Lynn has, but you know, it gets the job done.
Fast machine. Jim has the fast machine. I have to make sure mine are all open ahead of time because it takes them 10 minutes to open.
I just had to add three auxiliary fans to my machine this week to keep it cool. It's got 12 fans on it now.
Too much video
Wow,
processing. Mine has an air conditioner blowing right on it, so that helps.
Wow.
There we go.
So, Tiffany,
Yes.
when did you show up here?
The end of last year, maybe. So maybe like 6 months or so now, maybe.
You're hiding.
Oh wow! Did you know?
This is the first time I've submitted anything.
Well, do you know that the lighting class is starting? Flash?
Yeah. I keep signing up for it and they keep calling me and saying that there's not enough participants.
Well, we got the classes actually starting
Oh my God, when?
Tuesday, next Monday. Oh, no, on the not on the 8th on Monday. All right, this is the image that Jim was referring to, right? And you want that image to be in the other one, right?
Let's swap that head over into the other
And
image.
the reason why this one is not the image, guys, is because there's too much interference between all those legs.
Also, look at the leg on the left is very dark. The other two are bright, but in the other image, all the legs are much closer together in lighting values than they are in this one. It's
Except for that weird foot sticking up there.
All right, so I generally will bring over more than what I need.
Oh yeah.
And in order to blend, so I've lowered the opacity in this, and I'm gonna run it over to this area right here. In that area there. If I lower the opacity, you'll see that this is what we're doing here. So I'll bring that up.
Then one of the tricks to this, you guys, is to make the new head just a little slightly larger than the original one so that you get complete coverage.
How did you do that? You didn't explain how you did that, Robert. You just
explain how I did. How I brought one over to the other.
Yeah, I mean, how did you? You didn't. Yeah, you just did it. You didn't tell them what you did.
All right, I got the lasso tool, drew a circle around. Command Z, lasso tool, drew a circle around, which is a selection. Copy that selection onto his own layer by doing a Command J or layer, new layer via copy. Copy.
Yep.
Right,
And you can even just do a Command C and copy and paste into the other document.
Right. So in that case, I ended up with this piece there. That's the copy piece. Now that's placed on top of all the layers. Then once it's on top, I lowered the opacity to kind of see through it, see where where it lines up. You take the move tool and then sort of line it up, and then from there, put it back to 100%.
Yeah, hold on a second, Robert. I think is Brian the only one having problems hearing Robert? I'm hearing Robert, Jim.
I'm hearing.
Yeah, we're hearing.
I hear everyone.
Yeah,
Yep.
it must be Brian's issue.
Maybe
All
get
right.
on your phone and use it. To hear it.
Yeah, I'm gonna add a layer mask, and I am going to invert the mask, which means make it so that this layer becomes invisible. Command letter I. Take out a brush, B, and in that brush, I'm simply going to paint in over my subject with a white brush. So I paint that in, and here comes my person in the water. I'll up the flow to about 90%, and there they are.
Can you turn it a little bit, Robert? Because it's like at a weird angle.
All right, give me 1 second. I'm just making the mask in. Now the request is to turn it. I'll go back to the move tool. I'll get my handles, and now from the outside of the handles, when you place it outside, you get a double arrow. Something like that. Is that's your request, Jim?
That's it.
All right. So now this person becomes our hero in this saga here. Let me just clean it up just slightly, just a little bit more. I'm going to be painting with black X in order to get rid of a little of this extra right around the corner there.
Yeah.
Just a little bit of that extra so that it blends a little bit better. And there you go. I'll save this file. Actually, I'll get rid of the bottom one in order to reduce the file size, and then save this file. Once the file is saved, then I'll go back to Lightroom, command.
Wait,
Wait.
before you, wait,
Don't leave
Robert,
Photoshop yet.
Yeah,
wait, don't leave,
Photoshop.
you gotta get rid of that left thing, whatever that thing is in the left.
It's a
Yes.
person.
And I'll
Yes.
for a teaching example, I can tell you something. If you get the remove tool, go ahead and access the remove tool. And I just want to point something out to folks with the remove tool. There you go. Okay. Up at the top where it says auto may use generative AI, that means it may use some of your credits. It may not. But if you turn generative AI off, it won't use any credits. And I find that actually it is so good without it sending it off to Adobe server and bringing it back and using credits that eight times out of 10, it does the job without using the generative AI. And you can try this first to not use your credits, and then if it fails, turn the generative AI on and use your credits.
I never realized the remove tool used your AI credits.
Yes, the remove tool, if it uses generative AI, it uses your credits, but you have the choice of not to use it, or to definitely use it, or to let it decide on its own.
When does that come up, Jim? Does that come up?
It's up at the top, the choice
I
is.
know, I see it, but does it come up when you select the remove tool?
Yes,
Okay,
it's an option for the remove tool.
okay, got it.
Hey, Jim, a question is.
So there you go. That did a great job without using any of Robert's credits.
While you're in the remove tool, can you take whatever that dark thing is above on the right, in between the legs? There's on the empty lane.
Up, yeah, I see what you're talking about. Yeah, up.
There's a couple of blobs there.
It's in between the lane markers, above the bright foot. Yeah, Diana's talking about that. You got it.
And then also on the left, in the top corner.
Yep. I heard somebody else had a question about the tool a minute ago.
I did. That thing that you just changed for that generative AI, does that remember it for each photo, or do you have to do that every
Yes,
time?
I leave mine off all the time, and only in those cases where it fails do I ever go up and switch it and use generative AI. But my default personally is to leave that off, and like I say, 80% of the time it does a great job and doesn't use any credits.
Yeah, but the default for the app's default is yes or no. It's either or. So you've got to go in there and actually change it to off.
But then it will remember it, and
Yeah.
it will remember it and keep that as a sticky setting.
Am I the
I have a
only one
question.
that's bothered about the anatomical incorrectness of that head?
I'm good with it.
Question, if I can.
Say again.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Since we moved one face from the other picture, would it be beneficial to move the other faces?
The other faces.
Yeah, the middle person's face was out of the water, and the other image as well.
Okay.
Personally, I like the fact that there's only one face to focus on without other faces to be distractions.
I mean,
Okay.
for synchronized swimming, though, that would be an issue because they're not very synchronized.
Right.
I hear what you're saying, Lynn.
That would be correct. I'm just asking.
Okay,
I'm just
now, so
asking.
someone said something about.
Do they have stockings on, or what's
Wait,
on their feet?
now before we get all off, no, they don't have stockings on. The second thing is, I want to address that part about the anatomically incorrect head. Is the head too big or too small? Which one?
Turned
The
at an
head's
odd.
too big, and it's physically impossible for it to be looking in that direction with that leg.
Yeah, that's why he turned it somewhat, but I don't know if you can turn it enough to make it look right.
You need to turn it more looking to the right.
Can we look at the original image and see how the head is in relation to the leg in the image the head came out of?
And he deleted the other image.
No, I still have it back in Lightroom.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get out of the TIFF and go back to here.
Now, see, it's at a different angle.
It's slightly, there's a slightly different angle.
Or would
I
you
would
make
not
it-
know that that's not correct.
You saying that this is a slightly different, I turned.
The leg is at a slightly different angle to the head in this one than the other one. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go back to Photoshop, and shall I turn it some more?
Yeah, just turn it just a little bit more. Yeah, that way.
To the right.
It's
When you
also
say-
a different foot. This is the left foot, the other one was the right foot.
Well, this is where the head actually is. So you're saying
Yeah.
that you wanted to go up more.
Yeah,
Can it go like this, Robert? Like rotate it?
It's
There you go.
rotating now.
yeah,
Yeah.
rotate it and push it more to the right.
Right, correct.
And then can you make it smaller?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, before I make something smaller, when I'm, let me go ahead and accept this piece right here, give it an acceptance. Before I make things smaller, I generally will convert it to a smart object.
So you can come back and
So you can go back to it.
Yeah.
Right. So now it's a smart object, and now I can actually make it smaller. Let's see.
no, that's too much.
All right.
A little more
That's-
up, right there.
Yeah, that's good.
And I'd
Right.
still say move it more to the right.
Yeah. Can you grab that middle handle, Robert, no, rotate it.
Oh, he's rotated it quite a bit already.
Yeah, a little more though.
There you
That's
go.
it.
It'll
There you
match
go.
the
That's
original
it.
head.
Now it looks more realistic.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where we are so far with this photograph. I'll save this, send it back, tab, and go back to our Lightroom, and let's go back to our middle image. And there we are.
Would you not reduce the highlights on that water at the bottom?
Well, the question, it's not a question of would you not. Tell me what it is that you want.
I
So
would
when you
like
say
you to
would you
reduce-
not, you're saying I'm not quite sure of what I want to ask. So
No,
go ahead
I
and
would,
say,
I would like to see the highlights reduced on the bottom.
okay, great. That's a much more confident thing question.
And I would like to see the highlights reduced on the feet.
Now that's going to be, now I'll tell you, as far as the highlights of the feet, we've already reduced the highlights down to as much as possible without going it back into Photoshop and regrafting, rebuilding.
Right.
That's what it's going
Yeah,
to
they're
take.
really pretty much blown out there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to take
But couldn't
this.
you just put a brush over the?
Yeah, why can't you just brush that right foot? The rightmost foot.
Okay. All right. I hear what you're saying.
But
And I brush it. I let me make sure the flow is up. I hear what you're saying there. And I bring down the whites,
That makes it
and
gray.
it becomes a gray.
Gray.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
because it's blown out.
what
That's-
about instead of bringing the whites, just reducing the highlight?
It's
Same thing.
okay.
Yeah.
It's still, look, you see what it,
Slightly better, but
it's,
not by much.
yeah, it's still blown out.
Yeah.
The point is it's blown out, and I can rebuild it. I can just go back into Photoshop and do generative fill. The generative and rebuild it. But
Yeah.
that's not what this is about. So
Okay.
so I brought down. Let's go back to our piece down here. Brought down the highlights. Bring down the exposure.
Yeah.
All right. I'm
Would
talking.
having used a polarizer have helped? with-
Wait, no, we're dealing with the shot after the fact.
No, I know. I'm asking to prevent it.
Yes. Yes.
Sorry, Ines.
Yeah.
Jim, you were saying something.
Yeah, I was going to give you one other suggestion to deal with those highlights that overall may help. Just turn the crop on and pull it up from the bottom and make it a panorama format as
Yeah.
opposed to a rectangular aspect ratio.
Yeah, let me do.
I think overall that still would that helps with that highlight issue and helps with the composition overall.
Okay.
Just pull up from the bottom.
Yeah, I was just making it a little straighter there. Let's actually unlock it. Let's pull it up to about here.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there we
Even
go.
down a little bit from the top also.
All right.
Just slightly, yeah.
come down just a slight bit.
There you go.
Enter and or return, tap the letter F and see what we have.
Yeah, much better. And if we didn't know that was not the right head, we'd never know it.
And yeah, all that excess water in the foreground was not part of the story anyway.
Yeah.
Tiffany, you okay with this?
I am.
Great. Now, I'll say as a student of mine, don't be blowing out the highlights and making me look bad.
Oh, sorry, it wasn't intentional.
Well, anytime you don't control those light areas, it's definitely intentional.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the next image, Robert.
All right. So let's go back to G. All right, let's go back to now. Who are we going to next?
Let's do Mark's.
Mark. Okay, Mark brought in 2 images. And to compare, tab key.
Last one.
Now, hold on. Tap the letter D. And because I'm going to reset this. Yeah, I reset. And let's see. Yeah, okay. Both of them are reset. I actually did some preliminary work on it beforehand. So, tap the letter N for survey. And there we go.
All right.
The one on the left, I've been able to edit it and kind of get it about like I want. The one on the right is the one that I can't get anything to do with it, but that's up to the group, whatever one they want to see.
Well, let's do the one on the right then.
Yeah,
right. I said the one on the right then. Yeah.
All right.
Let's do the one you're having issues with.
Yeah, the one on the left, it hadn't come out exactly like I want it, but I've got it close enough that I'm okay with it. This one, every time I try it, I get very frustrated with it.
Well, let's see.
It might be a hopeless picture.
There you go. Yeah.
Can I make one suggestion right off the bat and get rid of the branches on the left on the top?
Yeah.
So they're like kind of suspended.
Well, there is a difference right here already, and I'll show you that that's where it was.
Yeah, right.
What did you do to get it to jump up like that?
A whole lot of things. Look at the history on the right hand or left hand side there, Mark. That's a lot of stuff he did.
Shadows.
Okay. So, but let's take it back to the reset form and start there. Now, having said that, where do we start? Deborah, help me out.
Hey, this isn't wildlife.
Never know what's going on
There's no
inside.
tiger standing there. It doesn't matter. It's all processed the same.
Oh, come on. You got to get rid of those branches in the left.
Tell me
what
why.
happens if you duplicate them, put them on the right too.
Well,
Right.
okay, let's
I mean, I would
leave
probably start with the transform tool because the building looks leaning to me. And
Yeah, now,
things
Diana,
straight
I'm not
first.
shutting you down. I just that's the heavy lifting, and I don't start with the heavy lifting first.
Okay.
I always start with the base.
All right.
Exposure.
All right. So I've done the transform, and the transform is already put me straight up. Now where do I go?
Exposure.
I'll go to my base.
Well,
In the interest of time,
your
I will
sheet.
do it.
Barbara's the kind of character that I'm the least normal about, and I don't think I've ever explicitly said how much I love her on this channel. But
Thank you.
I got rid of them. Go
All
ahead.
right.
Well, why don't you use your she method?
Because no, I haven't taught that to anybody, and so it's one of those things where I'm doing it so that everybody can understand.
Okay.
So I'll do the initial auto setting. I'll bring back the vibrance and the saturation back to 0 on both of those because that's kind of what an auto does. I'll pull down the highlights a little bit more, open up the shadows because of the darkness a little bit more. And then that's where I'm going to start. I'll get my white and black points. And now where do we go from here?
I'm not saying anything anymore.
It needs more vibrance.
More vibrance?
It's dull. The colors are just nothing.
It's flat. It's just flat. The light's flat.
Okay, now the light and color are two different things.
Yep.
I was talking about color.
Okay.
What about just putting different colors, making bushes on both sides slightly different shades so that you build some sort of depth?
Well, now when we talk about color, we have to emphasize you don't well, first let me do something here. Okay. Wait. One of the first things that I will do in order to find out where color is,
increase the saturation.
That help?
It does. See, that's what I'm saying. You can see different shades of the green. Some are brighter, some are darker. So if you enhance that, you put a little depth into it.
I think you're jumping just a little bit. If I reduce it to no saturation, there's still some brighter and some darker. But as far as the saturation is concerned, you're saying add color. Okay, so we've added color. So now that we've done that, that's one of the things that happens when we look at a photograph, as opposed to telling the story or guiding the eye, is that when you start doing global adjustments instead of subject-based staging, then you kind of lose everything. What I mean by that is, I'll go to, whose shot is this? Mark's?
Yeah, that's mine.
Mark, what is the main thing that you want to that you want us to see?
Basically, I was trying to get the tower in the back and then the reflection on the water and stuff of the two. That was my main focus on that.
Right. Now that I know what your main focus is, then everything else is less than those two. All right. So if that is the case, and Brian is saying that I want to see more color, which is totally valid. Now what we have to do is make sure that these two items stand out. So if they're going to stand out, we got to take down that sky and take down this water. So how do we do that?
Why not do the opposite and just bring up the building and the shadow?
Yeah, but the sky's way too bright. Still, you still got to get that bright. Yeah, you got to get the sky less bright. So I would select the sky with a mask.
Yep.
Let's see what happens when we do that. If we select the sky.
I can't believe we worked on this photo this long and we still have the rock on the bottom and
I'm not cropping it until the end.
It's such a distraction to me. Get rid of the crap, then you know what you're working with.
Just hang with me on doing things slightly different than the way you normally do them. Okay, I understand what you're saying is absolutely correct.
Normally I would crop it first, but since I haven't been able to make this one work, we'll go with whatever Robert wants to do.
Right. I'm just saying, let's stick with the idea that people are giving input. And Brian, you've already given a great input, which is the color. So I'm hoping that someone else will say something. So all right.
You need to improve the sky selection there, bud.
All right. Yeah. Let's just say for the sake of argument that how do I do that, Lynn? Okay, how do I improve that sky selection?
Go up to the mask and do add and use a brush and just go over the branches of the trees, which you can do because there's no leaves on the trees.
Right.
All right.
And we're going to get rid of that anyway.
And then go. What if there were leaves on the tree? Then how would I do it?
Then you could do it by color.
Intersect.
I would do this different.
Color range.
All right. So I'll take a brush and go over these portions right here. Is that right?
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to tell you, there's going to be a problem with that.
Yeah, it's going to make the trees lighter or darker. But
Yeah.
Right. Now, you see how much redder this mask is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You see that?
You're gonna have
That's
to
the
put it
reason
down
why I
the flow.
didn't want to do it that way. This way is because of the difference between the sky and the actual addition. But I'm okay with it. So I'm going to bring down the exposure.
That's not bad.
All right. Bring that down. And anytime I do the exposure on the sky, I will invariably do especially for the drama, I will do a dehaze. All right, so is that helping us out as far as the building?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, Robert,
Yeah.
can you bring down the clarity and the texture on the sky? And it gives it a little dreamier look.
All right. Now, what you're asking for is one of those things that I love to do on my particular images, but let's show everyone what is being meant by that. I'm being extreme. Now, you have to watch out for halos whenever you do this. Now, we did not do a Jim, help me out. We did not do a where did Jim go?
Chromatic correction.
Thank you very much.
Fringing there too.
Yeah, there's definite chromatic aberration. Is that what you're asking about?
Yeah, that and Jim, you got to be a little quicker when I punch to you.
I was muted.
Why do we want to get rid of the definition in the clouds?
Now I wanted to show. Lee made a suggestion, and I took it to the extreme. Sometimes with clouds, you when it has a lot of texture in it, it's actually commanding a lot of information, a lot of
Attention.
Attention. That's the word. So sometimes you want to soften it up so that your subject stands out.
Give it a more painterly. It's a more painterly effect.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. That's going to be lens corrections. And in that lens correction, I'm going to remove chromatic aberration, enable some kind of profile there. And for the sake of argument, we're going to assume that everything is good. All right. So that's a good thing. Now I'm going to bring that mask that we just did. I'm going to bring that extreme of the texture, bring that back a little bit, about 50% of it. All right. Just so that we are all feeling pretty decent.
Yeah, like they were saying, when your clouds are highly texturized, they do command a lot of attention in the scene, and they can actually be a distraction from your subject.
Thank you for answering my question.
Okay, once again, when Jim says something, it's all high and mighty. When I say it, it's a fight.
Move it on.
All right. Okay, so let's make Brian happy. How far up, Brian?
Well, I would have an equal amount of space between the top and the bottom to the points on that building.
Why would you do that?
For symmetry.
Let's go without symmetry just for now. Okay. And I get what you're saying, but we got rid of it.
Can I put something in that hasn't been discussed yet? The reflection of the building, the reflection of that pagoda to me, as I look at it, I think it's still crooked because of the way it's crooked on the water. I don't know if that's something that, I mean, I'm just looking at it straight off.
You might have to move the sun.
Yeah.
Can you throw some ripples in there?
No, I mean, I've tried to do those kind of shots, so I guess that's why I'm asking.
Okay. So I'm not going to do any transformation here, but I get what you're saying. Now,
Robert, can I suggest something?
Yeah, something?
Yeah. Before you do the cropping, I'm just looking at the composition, and what I see is an X right in the middle of the screen. If you draw a line down the pagoda, it's just one straight line in the middle, and then if you look at the shoreline, it's one line going. It's like an X across there, and that disturbs me. The attempted symmetry here bothers me because it's really not symmetric. I would bring the bottom up with a crop so that it gets rid of a significant amount of the shadow. After all, the shadow is not the important thing. The structure itself is important. That it's nice to leave some shadow, but I would bring it up about 1/3 of the picture, all the way to, you see the rocks on the right side, to right where the rocks and the water meet on the right side. Yeah, yeah, where the arrow was right there.
I'm going to do that afterwards.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Now I want to go back to the building here. Now you see how there's a lot of shadow in there?
Yeah.
Now, just for the sake of attention, because Mark said he wants the building to stand out. I'm just gonna right underneath these little pieces there in a quick manner. I'm just gonna open up the shadow in those areas. All right, you see the difference?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, now we have a little more definition.
Would you
That's
increase the saturation there?
Increases. There's no need for the saturation to increase. There's not really any color there.
Okay.
But what I can do is this. I can select the subject, which is going to be this building.
Uh-huh.
And in the heat of that building, let's see what happens when we add a little
There you go.
warmth to it.
That's
Not
exactly-
saturation, but warmth.
Mm-hmm.
Now it stands out against the blue. So we're playing color contrast.
Now, while you have it selected, you could push the shadows even a little more, I think.
Yeah.
There you go. Starting to look like something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very nice.
Okay, now that we have that particular portion, we have the saturation brought up by Brian. We have the color contrast brought up by Diana. We have Jack is asking for the cropping. I know, Brian, I'm just simply getting your goat because you always agree with Jim. So I got somebody agree with me this time.
Actually, I think this is going to be a better crop because that reflection, because it is kind of weird looking compared
Right.
to is going to make, I think we don't need it there because it's disturbing.
It takes
when
away.
Jack said that, I was in 100% agreement because it would lessen the impact of the crooked reflection.
Exactly.
I guess, yeah, too high.
Maybe a little bit lower so it's not cutting off the tree. Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what that looks like. Oh, much better.
Oh, yeah.
We're getting there.
Yep.
I agree. That makes a much better photo to do that crop, Jack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can't believe you've been working on this thing for 3 hours and we still got the branches.
Well, now
I don't like the branches. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna agree with who said that? Oh, that's Victoria. Yeah. I don't find the branches to be a problem. Jim, your thoughts?
They don't bother me so much. They don't bother me now that I have this crop, and I would also say that if you look at everything, it needs about 2 or 3 degrees of counterclockwise rotation.
Yeah, it's very quick.
I agree with you. Tap the letter R, and we are going to go counterclockwise. Put the cursor just outside.
There, that's it. You got it.
What did you use?
I just put the cursor outside and to rotate it.
Just rotate with crop tool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a way to make the trees and shrubs still pop a little bit more, like a little more texture or?
Well, now make sure that we are not overly emphasizing something that isn't the main subject.
Okay, got it.
The pagoda is the hero.
Right. So if you tell me to put more texture on the pagoda, then I would say, okay, great. So let's do that on our subject.
Yeah.
And because that is our hero. So
I feel like we over-rotated and it's tipping to the left.
Yeah, there was a slight over-rotation.
Yeah.
But we
That's
got the
okay.
idea.
Yeah, and I will make sure to take the let's see, the texture and the clarity. There we go. Give that some weight. And
just
yes, I know that
yeah.
we missed that little portion right there, but
Yeah,
that's
there's
okay.
a bunch of places around the pagoda where the sky's showing through that didn't get
Yeah, but
collected before. But
we
that's
sort of get the idea of making of how to. Now, remember when we did this in the studio, we did
There.
suggestions, and it was up
There it
to
is.
the person, the actual
better, right
creator, to
there. Don't
follow
move it
them.
anymore.
One more question I have is that when do you apply sharpening?
Well,
That's not sharp.
I'm going to say to you, as far as sharpening is, I don't apply very much sharpening to my images. And because of the way I shoot, I generally will do the sharpening at the end, at the very end of it.
Okay.
So, in other words, the pagoda itself, I would actually, I'm just saying how I do it, not anybody else. This part right here, this is where I would add the as far as the selection, I'd add it right here. And it's uncontrolled, but that's how I do it on my main character.
Okay, I guess my general question is that I've always thought that raw files by nature are flat and needed to have some sharpening applied to them. Is that not the case?
No, that is the case. That is the case. But oftentimes, what I will do is when I export this file export my setting. If I'm exporting a JPEG, it'll be JPEG output sharpening screen high, and it comes out crisp.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Again, there are many formulas of how people approach it.
No.
And that's just the way I approach it. I don't like to do a whole bunch of over sharpening while I'm processing the image.
I do it last too, along with anything that has to do with sharpening, clarity, contrast. I do last, and there's a whole logic behind it, but that's a whole nother lesson. But yeah, dead last for me.
That's how I am last.
So, Mark, how do you feel about this?
That's a lot better than what I've come up with. So,
Mark, what do you mean a lot better? It's a freaking masterpiece.
Except for those holes in the sky.
Yeah, I mean, we got a couple of holes in the sky, but that's other than that.
Yeah,
the freaking masterpiece, man. Come on.
Mark, was this in Tokyo? Because I could swear I've seen this.
no, this was in Kyoto.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay.
There's a lot of
it was in
guys,
Kyoto.
we created a lot of noise in that pagoda. Robert, how do you normally get rid of the noise?
You can go up to
Topaz.
What is it? Photo, enhance, and then denoise.
Okay. You don't use the denoise in Lightroom over there on the panels?
It's the same thing. No, I mean I use the denoise on the panel. Let's see, where is it?
Under details.
Under details. Yeah, I use the denoise as a raw file. This is it right here. Same thing. Yeah. Exact same thing.
Okay.
Hey,
okay, let's move on to another image.
What's next?
Can I just make one suggestion before you move on?
Sure.
Just can you put the crop back? Take the crop out? Just take it out altogether.
Take the crop. Oh, go back to the original.
There's a reset button in the crop panel. Just hit the reset in the crop panels. I think what Lee wants. There.
Okay. So if you go down, because he shot it at an angle and didn't shoot it straight on, you have the reflection is tilted. So if you go down to the transform and you I forget which one it is. Yeah, right there. You can change. It changes your perspective and straightens it out a little bit.
There's a thing
do
down
it
here
didn't do it
called,
on the reflection, but it
there's a
brings
thing,
the face of it more square to you.
there's a thing down here called constrained crops.
Yes.
Yeah.
The white that happens right here, if I click on that,
Uh-huh.
it removes that white. So now that I'm out of the crop form, that's what I have.
Mhm.
And
The reflection is still weird because it doesn't
Yeah.
be solid at the
Because
top.
he didn't shoot it straight on.
Yeah.
So the reflection.
Yeah. And so the
It-
reflection
it's
is
crooked.
strange looking. Yeah.
But I use the transform all the time to straighten stuff out and make it more square.
Okay, let's move on to the next image, guys.
all right. Tap the letter G and tap the tab key. And now that I go, who should I go to next?
Let's do Deborah's.
Deborah. There we go. Deborah has 2 images. Ooh.
And guess what? They're wildlife.
Okay, before we go anywhere, Deborah, I'm going to show you something. D and
Whoa.
hold on. That's your original.
Look at the eyes.
I know. They're
When
all,
I did it, I selectively lightened the lions and I didn't lighten the background.
So I did not lighten the background at all. I actually reduced the value of the background, but I just want you to see just what was done. But we'll go back to our selection, and we're going to do the letter N and the tab key.
Yeah, but you got them back. You got them at the finished product. You need to bring them back to the raw. Or
Oh my goodness, you're right. After tap the letter D, and from that I'll reset it back.
I don't know how you got all those eyes open at the same time.
That's when you talk to them.
Kitty.
I must not speak fluent lion.
Oh, that's not true. You're lying.
Oh, brother.
When you're that close, they tend to watch you a little bit.
yeah.
Yeah. Where was
I'm
this?
kind of, well, see,
That's
I'm kind of
fine.
intrigued to see what we can do with the one on the right, but the lions look nice too. But
Let's do the lions.
Lions?
My vote is for the Lions.
Okay. The Lions it is. Lions develop. And Command D, which means that the Lions are it. All right. Talk to me, people, good people, great people of this world.
up from the bottom,
What do you mean? You're saying crop it?
crop it up, and then your exposure on whatever it was you did that brought the eyes out.
Ah,
There was like 100 things.
Yeah, well, whatever that was perfect.
Yeah, if you're willing to crop first, though, I agree. Pull it up and from the bottom.
Way too much brightness at the bottom.
all right. Tap letter R. R to crop.
Yeah, I do it at the end too, but we're doing the democratic process tonight.
Yeah. Yeah,
Thank
I generally
you.
do it at the end because
I
because
bring it up a little more.
I changed my mind as to the composition at the end. So that's generally why I crop at the end.
And the other thing that you might notice when you're using the remove tool in Lightroom, if you've cropped the image and you try to get rid of something on the edge, it doesn't work very well because it's still seeing what you cropped off.
Right. That's
So
one of the
if you
main
if you-
reasons.
Yeah, if you don't crop off it, if you don't crop until the end, then you don't have to worry about that.
Good to know.
All right, so that's what we have there. So, but before I move any further, I just need to get a show of hands. Is this working for anybody? Do you guys get bored? Is this silly?
No,
What?
this is good.
Process? No.
No, this is working great. Thank you.
Yeah, no,
Great
very
stuff.
worthwhile.
Yes, I'm
Great
learning a lot.
stuff, Robert.
Okay. Just want to make sure because I I don't like bored
Moving
to bore
along
people.
though, it's 8:30.
All right,
Yeah.
we're good. We're good. We're going to get it as many as we can, but I don't
Okay.
want to short the
Right.
process.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, what do we got, folks? Talk to
Let's
me.
hit the auto key.
All right. That's generally we're going to do a base. And there's our base.
It's not bad right there, just to start.
Okay, before I do that, let me go back to here and make a snapshot. Okay, and now I'll go back to my auto settings. There we go.
I would like to see how you got those eyes so bright, Robert. That was awesome.
It
'Cause that
was.
doesn't come out in auto.
No. That's what I mean. I'm saying you do the base of getting the exposure in line. I'm going to bring back the vibrance. Get the base in line, and then you start what I call the creative process. You start to tell the story at that point.
But see, I think it looks better without changing the background.
Do you know how much what I did? The only thing I did in the background was gave the sky a little bit of blue. That's all I did.
Yeah, but it's much brighter.
Well, I'm saying, okay, what you're saying is, okay, I understand what you're saying now. Is
The
that,
auto button made it brighter.
yeah, it's going to make the whole thing brighter. So now what we want to do is we want to bring the background down more, right? That what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, or I mean, what I did when I processed it is I didn't touch the background. I only processed the lines.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. So I'm going to do a command minus. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do something to show you. I'm going to do a radio gradient. And I'm going to pull it down to about right in here. Right there. I'm going to invert it and then bring down the background. So you see what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So I brought down the background. I'm going to subtract the subject just so it doesn't get any of this in there. And there it didn't get any. So I just brought the background back down. Okay. Now where do we go from here?
Got to brighten up those faces.
Select either do select subject or work on each individual, or put a radial and get rid of the shadows.
Okay. Let's see. I am going to add a brush. And in this brush, make sure the flow density is 100%. And I'm just going to go in and just with the brush, let's go in and just go, hey, look, just around each one of them. Nothing special. And then this one, you see that I've done these at 100%. I'm going to actually do this one at a flow of half the amount.
His face is already brighter.
Already bright.
Yep. Her face.
About half the amount. So everybody got what I just did there.
Yep.
Then I'm going to bring up over here, bring up the shadows. And there you go.
Yeah.
So I bring up the shadows as opposed to the exposure because it's a slower process. And I'm using the wrong term, slower process. It means it's not as intense as if I had done exposure. I can do exposure. Exposure is going to be a little bit more aggressive. Aggressive is the term I'm wanting to use. So it's a little less aggressive, but I still can bring it up, maximize my shadows to a point. And then if that's not enough, then I'll go to exposure. But without, let's see if, and then with.
How did you get the eyes brighter though?
Okay. We're talking about the eyes. We had now. Is the eyes the next thing that we want to go to?
Sure.
Yes, please.
Okay. It really is a simple process. I bring my brush flow back to 100%. I put in a new brush, just a simple new brush. Hold down the space bar until I got it all the way in. Let's bring it up a little bit more to
What do you
about.
mean you hold down the space bar till you get it all the way in? What's that mean?
Well, when you're in a tool, you have a tool. If I hold down the space bar, it turns into in a sense, a magnifier based on what you have here. So if I put in 100%, I can get that. So if I let go of the space bar, it goes back to the tool. Space bar. And now it really is. I've simply put in a brush and told it, says, okay, paint that. Paint that. And I was very loose about it. And it's running a little bit slow, but yeah, very loose.
Make them look like devil lions.
Yeah. And I'm simply masking them in.
I know. Trying to keep things light.
Yeah. And oh, wait a minute. Now you want to keep things light. 2 seconds ago, it's like, okay, man, shut up and keep going. Let's go. We got
Okay?
things to do.
Light and move. Move. If you're light, you move faster.
Yeah. I hear you. So, and then that little eye over there, I made my brush a little bit smaller and just hit the eye. Now, when it comes to the eye, you don't just make them brighter. I can make them pull them up. But what I'm doing is it's the color in those eyes. And so because it's the color, I'm going to add a little bit of warmth and a little bit of saturation and a lot of clarity. Clarity is going to create the extra contrast that's needed in order to make this really pop. You see it?
Yeah, they look funny up close, but when you back them off, they're going to look a lot better. Yeah.
And that's what I mean by bringing those eyes up.
Well, that one on the left looks like it's ready to leap. Just pretending to drink.
Yeah. So, and then you can, if it's too much, you can take the amount and pull it back. But that's what you saw when you saw those eyes.
You said you put blue in the sky. Did you just do a linear gradient on the sky, or what'd you do?
I selected sky.
Just select the sky.
All right. Now the way I do ball skies like this, where there's not any real texture in it, I will select the sky. And there it is. It's selected. And sometimes if I wanted to add to it, I'll simply do an add.
You can do an add sky to it. Sometimes that works. I have
used let's see what happens.
a couple of times, and it actually improves it. And this one, the trees are kind of soft, so it may have a hard time. But if you've got trees that are fairly defined, see, it did take up more sky. So sometimes doing add sky helps by just doing.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry, I lost you there.
You're just adding sky. You just click the add button and then pick sky again.
Again? So you do it multiple times?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's like I said, in some images it works better than others. This one's the trees are a little blurry, so in that background, because it's soft in the back, so it's having a hard time figuring out which sky and which tree. But with some other ones, it actually works pretty well.
Isn't that the same thing as just duplicating the mask, Lynn?
Yes, and not really, because that would make it double. What we're doing is adding to it.
Okay, got it. Okay.
All right. So what I did was I did a what's it called?
Luminance.
A luminance value.
That's the other way. Yeah.
Okay, I did a luminance value.
Huh? Oh, okay.
And then I did a desaturation. Then come in and put in a color. Once the color goes in, anytime you have a light white like you have right here, if you want to make color more intense, you reduce the exposure, and you see how it gets way blue, but I don't need it to be that blue. In fact, I double click on it to get it back to the normal, and I click right here. I don't need that all of that blueness to come through, so I'll lower the saturation just a little bit, and then lower the exposure just a tiny bit.
Robert, how did you limit the luminance range from not going on the lions?
Oh, it is on the lions.
Okay.
It's everywhere.
Okay.
It's in fact if anything that's you see the water down here that has blue.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
All right. So what I'm going to do to that is I am going to subtract. Get our top one. I subtract a linear gradient.
Huh?
A linear gradient. And see all of this down here? I just start my gradient right here and go up. So it's taking it off of all this stuff down here.
Yeah. See now now the water's less blue.
So
what if you just went to your color mixer and dropped the luminance on the blue, since there's no blue in the lions or the trees?
Well, you say go to the color mixer and do what?
Drop the luminance in blue.
Luminance is a brightness. Okay.
So, I mean, and then increase the saturation. So drop the luminance of blue and increase the saturation of blue a little bit.
The linear gradient right here just takes it all off of everything. By doing the luminance range that I did, it found everything that had that brightness in it. And
No,
all
I get that. I mean, instead of doing the masking.
The masking of what?
So instead of doing the sky and the water, if you just went to the color mixer and dropped the luminance and increased the saturation of blue, I think it would give you the same effect.
I'm very interested in what you're saying. So guess what I'm going to do?
Go to the color mixer quickly.
I'm gonna create a virtual copy, and on that virtual copy, I am going to take away this mask number 4. I believe that it. Take it away. Okay, that mask should be gone now. Yeah, it is. It's gone. Now, tell me what you want done.
Go to the color mixer.
All right.
And
in a mask or not a mask?
Not a mask.
Okay. Point or mixer?
Mixer.
Okay.
And decrease the luminance of the blues and increase the saturation of the blues.
Okay, decrease the luminance of the blues. All right.
Saturation. And then increase the saturation of the blues.
Okay, increase the saturation of the blues. Okay. I'm getting blue in the water, and that's not where I wanted it.
So the sky is too white.
The sky, that's what I'm saying.
The sky has no blue in it.
It didn't have any blue in it.
Okay, I was just wondering if that would work. Okay. Yeah. So.
Now you're saying that there is some blue in the water, but there's no blue in the sky. And so what we were doing is we're putting blue in the sky.
Yeah.
That was the difference.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Okay.
All
so
right.
I'm going to take that and delete that and remove it from Lightroom. And I was very curious as to where you were going.
Yeah, you've got to have some blue in order to increase the luminance or the saturation of that blue.
So what I was doing was actually putting in some actual artificial blue.
Right.
That's what I was doing. Okay, so there we are now. I'm going to get out of that, go back to our sky here and reduce that amount. I don't need it to be 21%, it'd be about 14%. And I'm fine with that. Now, there's one last thing I did do. One last thing. And that was that the temperature of this, I raised it up a little bit. Now, I want you to see it after in just a second once it catches up. At some point, it should get very, very warm. Oh, wait a minute. That's on the, that's in the masking. I don't need it in the masking. I need it actually on the image. So if I increase the temperature a little bit, let me make it big. Okay. You see how that temperature is increased?
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge. That's huge. So I'm gonna come back, mask number 4. Okay, I'm gonna come back so we don't have that. I just want you to see that particular part of it. I'm running a little slow. Now I'm going to create that mask by saying select subject. It should select all of those guys. There you go. And now I'll raise that temperature that we talked about just to separate them out by giving them a little extra warmth. So it looks as though that sun is actually beaming down on them.
Okay. Show the beginning and the end.
So beautiful.
Show the beginning and the end, Robert.
Okay. All right, let's do the before and after. And
Perfect.
Yeah, looks good.
Yep.
And as we say at the end, I say this to Diane all the time. I said, press the letter F and then enjoy.
If it ever comes up, there it goes.
And you see how that little extra warmth gives that, sets them aside?
Yeah.
Yeah, in Africa, it's very warmish. So
yeah, that was a good choice.
See, I actually cooled the whole thing initially and then warmed up the lion.
Mhm.
All right, on to the next one, guys.
G.
Yeah, who's next?
G.
I think Alan.
Alan?
Yeah.
Alan had oh, this thing is running very, very slow now. Okay. Tab. And I will do Alan. Oh, Alan. Alan had an interesting shot here. And I'm curious as to which one will be chosen. And tab key. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. R. Tap the letter D. And go back to this one. I'm so sorry because I saw this image and I said, okay, let's reset it. Okay, great. Now we're there.
Is the school bus back at the beginning too?
Yeah, it's I didn't do anything to school bus.
Okay.
Letter N. Okay, great. There we go.
And Alan, why did you send the one with the school bus?
Well, first of all, it's number 5 and 6 grandsons coming off and seeing grandma as a surprise in the driveway. And also the challenge was that the bus and the kids were in the shade and the rest of the scene was bright sunshine.
Grandma should have been in the shot.
Instead of the transformer, you're probably right.
Because we just see a couple of kids getting off a bus. If she was standing there going with her arms out, that would be a whole different story. And with the other one?
Well, I know that Mount Rushmore has been photographed a million times, but this is my first time seeing it. And I wanted to capture it myself and see what I could do. Mm-hmm.
So which one, guys? Speak up quickly.
Well, I kind of like the bus.
Rushmore.
much more. Let's do
School
about
bus.
four. The school bus.
Bus. I vote
Bus
bus.
is more of a challenge.
Let's hop on the bus and forget about us and put the blame on me. Because if I don't see a yellow ribbon around that old oak tree, and guess what? I saw 100 yellow ribbons around the old oak tree. So, do you get any of you guys know that song?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so
I was
we-
just singing it
we
for
did
somebody the other day.
And Mark,
Yes.
please tell me you didn't.
Yes, I did.
You actually sung it. Okay, that must mean you're a good singer.
No, it doesn't mean.
Then that means you're trying to get somebody out of your life. All right.
Well, it was somebody that had never heard the song. So
All
Okay.
right, what are we going to do with this, guys?
All right. Now there's been some things that are done to this that was actually done earlier. So this is what we have. And let's start off with our base just to get ourselves acclimated. And I'm going to do the shadows all the way up because that's what we're dealing with right here, shadows. Highlights in the sky, let's pull those down. Exposure to taste. And I'm going to go just a little darker just to maintain our brightness. I mean, so our highlights don't do what it's killing us on. So I'm going a little darker than normal. And white point, black points. I generally do that to just about every photograph, white point and black point, to give myself a spread of the full range of the raw file. Okay, so now let's start talking.
Well, improved a lot already.
Yeah, just be able to see the kids.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say can we get rid of the transformer and the truck that's behind there?
And how would you,
well, I would crop it down to where you're basically just seeing the kids in front of the bus. I would get rid of all the other stuff around it. Because the kids are what you're focusing on. So
So that's an improvement right there.
Yeah. Then pull it up from the bottom to right there. And then just a
Pull it
little
down
bit
from-
less sky because the sky is not helping anything. More.
Yeah, more.
Yeah, down to just above the tree.
There you go.
Yeah, right there.
There you go.
Now it's about the kids in the bus.
Now, let's just talk about a couple of things that's happening here. You notice I brought down the value of the overall image, right? You saw that I did that, and that's to maintain the blue in the sky and all of that. In order to now, what we need to do is deal with our two subjects. Let's see if our masking can find the people, and it says no people found. So if that's the case, let's deal with our little guy right here. And let's make sure that our flow is at 100, our density is at 100. And it is. And we're just going to do a little masking right there. And but I'm not going to do it to his shoes. And I'm not going to do it to his hair. And I'm going to pull that up because he's in his shadows. Just going to pull that up a little bit and bring up the exposure just slightly. Okay, just slightly. And now I'm going to take that same brush that we just did, just going to lower the flow just a little bit because I want to build this guy up, but not let it be exactly the same. So I do a lower flow and sort of work around it. I mean, when I say work around it, kind of build him because I want this guy to be the hero. He's the one that has the animation. This second guy is looking away. It's like he's I don't know what his excitement is, but it's mostly about like getting off the bus. Whereas this guy has caught the attention. So does everyone understand what I mean by lowering the flow just to build it? It's going to build up to the same amount as this one, but it's not going to be as bright.
Yes.
You don't want them to be the exact same tone.
Correct.
Right.
And so now They're both there. Now, in this case, I have some things that I find a little bit objectionable to me, and that has to do with these tires. There's a little bit of detail here. Is going to be if I do a radio, and I pump it on these tires right here, just like so, and just bring up the shadows just a little bit, just so that there's some definition there. And I can then actually take and add another radio and do the same thing back here. Just bring that up. Now, it's not going to bring it up any brighter than what I have over here, but it's definitely going to bring it up a little bit more. See? And having said that, brought up those two values, one of the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that this part right here leads downward, these steps, and that will be another brush. I know I understand I'm taking this thing over, I'm putting my flow back here, taking this over, and I'm going to run it down to right in there, and right here, and right here, and right there. And just bring those values up just a bit so that they're not so dark in that area right there. Give it a little bit of definition in there. Just a little bit. Okay. And this grass down here, and I'm going to shut up after this. That grass, I'll simply take I'll take a brush just for the sake of speed and just paint over this grass. Like so. And just two things. I'm going to lower the temperature and lower the highlights. And why did I lower the temperature?
So it's not so bright yellow.
And yes, and by lowering the temperature, it counters the color.
Yeah. And it makes the bus stand out more.
Yeah.
Not competing with the bus.
Now, let's bring this thing all the way home. Plus, what is it? I'm going to do a radio, command minus or control minus, and I'm simply going to drive it home right here. And invert that, and then just bring down the exposure overall. But at the same time, giving it a little bit of warmth back there.
Brings it back up a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, and then reducing by subtracting with a brush at a very low flow so that it does not look all shady. I'm making the brush a little bit bigger and just pulling back off this right here, this area right there. Bigger brush there. Yeah. So it actually.
Where are you brushing, Robert?
I'm just brushing away some of the.
Where? Oh, there it is.
Okay. Yeah, on the bus. Yeah. So that it leads down to these guys right here. And last but not least, another small radio. And that's on the grounds that they are. We need to make sure that we know that they are there in that shadow, and just bring up these shadows in that area with the exposure just a little bit there. So there they are.
Wow.
Hey, Robert.
Still before and after.
Hey, Robert.
Yeah.
Before you finish, will you humor me and let me see one more option on the crop?
On the crop? Okay, first of all, let me do this. Let me create virtual copy. All right, talk to me.
All right, activate your crop tool.
R, letter R.
All right, pull in the left-hand side all the way past that like fuel filler cap or something, but leave the tire in, but cut right into the bus. I just want to see it right there.
Like tire to
I want to see that.
Enter and a return.
That makes the kids much more prominent.
I don't like it.
Whoa, that was strong, harsh words.
Yeah. I would even crop in from the right. I mean, everyone knows it's a bus.
Yeah, what if you cropped in really
I just wanted to see that for, making the kids even more prominent without all that extra bus.
Yeah, I would have cropped tire to tire.
Can you do
mid-tire.
full screen so we can actually see it? Thank you. What? Why is it so small?
Brian, I'm not as quick as Jim.
But even now, why doesn't it fill the? Oh,
because I'm not as quick as
Look it
Jim.
down to put the mask on it.
Oh.
I don't know what just happened.
Oops.
Brian scared it.
Fit.
My Lightroom's having a fit.
Yeah. And tap letter F. There you go.
Yeah.
I'd crop in even more.
Yeah, I'd crop it too.
On the bus or?
I would crop the bus
I would
to the
like
middle of the back
mid-tire
tire,
to mid-tire.
middle of the back tire, and include the front of the bus.
Oh, because that brightness pulls you away.
And I would pull the top down all the way to the bus.
You can't take the school bus away, the sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a point there. But what about, I don't like the housing on the side.
Yeah, see, I would crop that out.
How are you going to do that?
What if you keep on, never mind.
There's many ways to do this.
Yeah.
At least I can really see the kids now getting off the bus.
Yeah.
I didn't even see the whole bus to get, to get that story of the kids getting off the bus. Chopping all that out brought me right to the heart of the story.
Let me go one more. Just and I will be off of this. And let me do one more crop. Okay. And I'm grabbing the aspect tool right here to do this.
That was my next suggestion.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of
Very
what I
much
was
the
thinking
kids,
right
yeah. I
there.
mean, we all know it's a school bus, yeah.
You took it right out of my mouth.
Oh, you can see the expressions better.
I like it. Yeah.
I like that.
Really good insights. Thank you, folks.
As they say in my neighborhood, there you go.
There you go. All right.
There you go.
It's 9 o'clock, guys. Do we want to do any more?
Please hang with me. I just want to do one more. Please hang with me, people. One more.
We want to hang.
Just one more.
One more. But
Okay, Columbo, just one more thing.
The good about this is that the positive response I'm getting from this is that we can do this again.
So nobody else got so much feedback that you couldn't even hear people talking earlier in the night? That didn't happen to anyone else.
Huh?
I had to change computers because every time I rejoined Zoom, it was fine for about 5 seconds, and then I got all this feedback
Just
again.
you.
Yeah, no, I didn't have problems.
One of the things, again, there were many takeaways from tonight's session. So yes, please do it again. But I mean, I never think about making virtual copies to look at different versions of the photo. And this helped me a lot. Thank you.
I am so glad you said that, because that's what we learned in Genesis. There are many, many ways and new ideas about approaching things.
Right.
So where do we want to go? Give me one more.
I thought you said you had one you wanted to do.
No, I just wanted to do one more random. I just wanted to make sure that it was totally random.
Diana Cahill.
Okay. And I know it won't take as long, but I'll tap the letter N. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. D. And
You
reset.
have time to work on these already. I didn't give them to you that early.
Yeah, no, I went in right as soon as I got them. As soon as I saw them, I started working on them. That's how excited I was about this particular education.
Exercise.
Yeah, exercise. Thank you. I love doing this kind of stuff.
And I think both of these have potential.
Well, you know, I want the owl.
Very, very different.
Huh?
The owl is kind of straightforward. I think the landscape is a little harder. It's got snow.
It's got
I agree.
lines.
Yeah,
Lots of
getting-
lines.
Yeah.
I like the right. I like them both, but I think the challenge would be the snow and the lines and the sky.
Okay. Let's deal with the right. Okay. Tap letter D. Talk to me, people. God, I love this. I love when you guys do this. This is the most excited I've been in like 9 years.
I would
Okay.
start with a white point and a black point.
White point and black point. White point and black point. All right. Shift, double click on the white. Shift, double click on the black.
I would turn this into a black and white.
Black and white. Well, before we do that, I've reached the black point and white point, but I'm missing the shadows.
Did you find them?
Oh, yeah.
I would like to see what it looks like with the bottom cropped off, so we have just the one color scheme instead of the two different colors.
Well, if you do black and white, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think compositionally it would matter. Here's
Yeah, I think compositionally,
Compositionally, I want that foreground.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But that's also why I agree with going black and white.
I think if you did black and white, you could really make it contrasty and, you know, bring out the blacks and make the whites pop, and it won't look weird.
We have
Yeah.
two different
Right
colors.
now it looks blue.
It's blue on
It is
one
blue.
end, and it's well, that's the cool value, and then it's neutral on the other end.
Yeah.
So by reducing the color value, we then get to see the trueness of the weather tone as we probably would see it.
I see shapes and lines now, whereas before it was
Right.
blue. It was blue and brown, and it didn't work well
Right.
together.
Right.
well,
And
I
now
like
you can bring up the contrast in different areas and it doesn't look hard. It does. Yeah, there you go.
No, that's too dark.
Well, yeah.
I like the longer tonal range that Robert just put into it a minute ago for half a second.
Yeah.
Let's see.
The-
That's
Yep.
a little bit of
So much more definition in the trees in
In
the
the
foreground
tree,
came out
yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go a little bit there. All right. Now let me at least for the sake of holding the attention, let's put a linear gradient down at the bottom just to pull that value down just a little bit. Highlights down, and then exposure slightly, just to pull that in.
Yep.
All right. Having done that, let's do a little bit more to the top as well. Because what you do to congruency is what the name of the game is. What you do to the one side, you must also do to the other. And what form of math is that? Algebra. Simple algebra. I would pull the calculus thing on you, but then I'd be showing off.
Yeah. It's too late for calculus.
Yeah. I'm not so sure about that top. It's got something going on up there that's a little weird. But I am going to look for dehaze and see what I can get out of it. No. Whatever that is, it ain't happening. So I will just leave that, do the leave thing, give it some softness up there, some light texture, some reduction in texture. And then we will do, let's see if we can do some curves. Jim, which one of these curve things that gives me the points? I think it's This one?
I'm not sure what you mean by gives you the points.
Yeah, no, it's got it. It's got it. It's more like I was asking for, there are different types of things you can do, like linear, medium, strong, and then there's custom.
Yeah, those are presets.
Right. That's one of this particular part of it. And then pull down that top piece just a little bit. Let's see what happens. Yeah, just a little bit there. Shades of gray.
What did that affect, Robert?
What this
Contrast.
on the curve? On the curve, the
Oh,
bottom.
no, on the right side of the curve.
This part up here?
Yep.
All right, look at your sky. All right.
Okay.
All right, now watch when I bring it down.
Oh, it's making it darker.
Yeah, a little bit more gray, or just giving me a little bit more evenness in there.
Got it.
Of a tone.
It's matching the snow now as opposed to contrasting with the snow.
Right. So that's kind of where we're going right here. Now,
I have a question as to when you're shooting this, in order to avoid that gray snow, wouldn't you just, I mean, this is what I've been told. I tried it this time in Utah and I'm not sure I got good results. Wouldn't you just add like a +1 to the brightness? I mean, +1 on the EV, on the evaluator and the compensation, EV compensation.
Depends on whether you're shooting mirrorless or not. And whether
Yeah,
you're
I'm shooting
manual.
mirrorless. I'm
Yeah,
shooting
then all you
mirrorless.
have to do is shoot manual and get your snow right. Your exposure right on your snow.
Yep, that's true. Because what you see is what you get in your viewfinder. So
Oh, I see what you're saying.
you don't need to fight with EV compensation.
I'm gonna do one more thing here, and that is gonna be, and I'm doing it for the. Well, let me do it a radial. I was gonna do a brush, but I'm gonna do a radial right in here, just to differentiate because of this section right here. There's a little bit of a section. I'm gonna do something right here, and this is going to be a way of adding a little richness to that section. Is that okay with you guys?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. And now I'm going to color grade this simply because I think that it could use it a little bit. Let's bring that back to the
just a touch
of that right there.
And did that make it blue or is that just me?
No, it did.
It's
Yep.
slightly bluer.
Yeah.
Feel cold.
Yeah.
Which makes it feel cold, like it's
Okay.
supposed to. Yeah.
And so in that case, anything else anybody would like to see?
Would you, because the darks are so much the same, all the trees, other than the trees that are right at the bottom behind the first part of it, you got one diagonal, you got another diagonal, and you got the trees, you dark trees, then not so dark trees, and then some snow and light. Would it be good to have create some depth by making some of the trees in some spots a little darker?
Okay. Well, let's
use a brush and just
let's use a technique, and I want you guys to take a look at this. I'm going to do a luminance range, okay? And on that luminance range, I'm going to select this value right there. Okay, now that selected all of the trees that are that value, okay? And then I'm going to lower the, actually, let's see if I can build the contrast first. Something, and let's do some shadows, like so. So that's giving it a little bit of contrast in there. Now, I'm going to intersect that with a brush. Okay. Now, once I put the brush on, I'm going to make sure that we're at 100% flow and feather. Once I put the brush on there, watch everything go. And I did this demonstration before. Everything goes back to normal. So only the part that I brush actually is taking effect.
So when you explain intersect, please.
And Jim did a wonderful explanation of this once before, where he talks about when you have two parts that overlap, the part that
What?
oh, wait a minute. If I did something globally, and then I say intersect with, and let's say I'd lowered the exposure, and I say intersect with a brush, the only thing that's going to get the effect is whatever I paint with the brush. And that's what I'm doing right now.
It's like a Venn diagram with a brush, basically.
Yeah.
Only thing that's effect is what you're, or I don't know. I'm trying to explain. Intersect that term doesn't work in my brain.
Basically, it means that that everything that you touch with the brush is going to be affected versus the other stuff.
Okay.
And you see it out every time I touch something with a brush. Only the things that I touch with the brush is actually getting darker, even though I darkened the whole thing.
Right. So in other words, it keeps you from darkening the snow. It's only darkening the dark parts.
The dark, and that's what the luminous range did. I only selected the dark part. So now let's take a look at what this is doing, and I think we're going to call this one a night. But that's a lot different than what we saw in the beginning.
Yeah. Much better.
Yeah. So you guys called it, you guys nailed it, and man, I swear to you, this was exciting.
Yay.
Guys, I've got to go to dinner. I'm starving.
And
Thank you.
we want you guys to get out of here anyway. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hey, Lynn, you want to take 30 seconds and go down memory lane since you made me pull it up from the calendar?
What?
Yeah, I was in the folders then and realized I had these. Yeah. There, can you see?
There we
can
are.
you see the behind the scenes with from the one shot? Yep. There's Lynn. That's Lynn and Curtis.
Look at that long hair, man.
My lighting assistants. There's the setup going on. That's Curtis holding that big light up there, making his arms tired.
We got to climb on a fire truck, guys. We had fun.
And there's the shot.
Yeah.
It's my cousin.
Yeah. So this was us setting it up, back in the day and getting ready for that shot for the fireman calendar.
Woo.
So
that's me before I came to the camera club.
We didn't have smoke for that one, but that was a fun shot.
Yeah.
Looked like it.
Climb on. I always wanted to climb on a fire truck, and I got to.
Yep, the biggest one of all.
Yep. Thanks, guys, for coming tonight. We probably should plan one of these. We might have to do it off schedule, but we could obviously do something like this again in the future.
Yeah. This
Still
is
just as
really,
fun as it was.
really good. Thank you all.
It was a good
Night,
review, a good
everyone.
session. Thank you.
Yeah, because there's always more stuff to learn, and every time they do an update to Photoshop and Lightroom, there's more stuff to learn, and it's one of those things that it never ends, and that's what makes this is what gives me the glimmer.
You guys have a good night.
Thanks,
Good night.
Victoria.
Thank you.
Good night.
Night.